I had found something out rather interesting. An individual who I will not name because, one, I don't have permission, and two, I'm not a jerk. I don't know this person, and yet I'm going to respect their privacy, which is why I'm not going to name them. But they did say something that was rather interesting. And it puzzled me. It was interesting. It puzzled me for a bit, and I even had to do some research. About a few weeks ago, I had done a video on RoboCop. I was about to say Robot Boy, but RoboCop. And how a specific scene with one of the bad guys who, for a brief moment, after being exposed to chemicals, he turned into what looked like to be a monster. And that a sci-fi action film was turned into a sci-fi horror film. But of course it ended as quick as it happened. In that video I had mentioned Toxic Avenger. And what Toxic Avenger was basically an 80s film about a young man who was in the 80s film. I don't know about the remake, which I am going to touch base on that in a bit. The 80s film, from what I remember correctly, was a janitor who worked at a gym, and there was a lot of jerks, a lot of bullies. He would get bullied a lot. And he was talked into wearing a ballerina, a tutu, and he ends up getting pushed through a window and into a vat of toxic waste. And it turns him into some deformed monster, and he vows to, after being basically, even by his own mom, shunned, he then turns to crime fighting and things of that nature. Well, in the remake, it stars Peter Dinklage, well known for his role as playing Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. He's done a whole bunch of roles, but that is what he's most known for. It also stars Elijah Wood and Kevin Bacon, who plays the main antagonist. And also in the video, I said I did not know if it was released yet or going to be released. And this individual had stated that this movie, the remake of Toxic Avenger, had been released in 2023. Which puzzles me, because late last year, possibly earlier this year, they gave a teaser trailer towards the Toxic Avenger. And the actual trailers for the movie came out a couple months ago. And I know this because I watched it. I was like, what? This is real? This isn't some AI stuff? This is actually real? Okay, cool. So I did some research, and it was in fact released in 2023. But it was for a festival. Let me look it up. I probably should have already had it up. Avenger, but didn't think that through. Avenger. Okay. The Toxic Avenger. And it says it was released in 2023. It is a horror comedy, 1 hour and 42 minutes, and rated R, of course. But, like I said, the trailers for it didn't start releasing until about a few months ago, possibly in the summer. So, here we go. So, the release date was September 21st, 2023 at Fantastic Fest. So this was a film festival. This was an annual film festival in Austin, Texas, which focuses on fantasy, horror, science fiction, action, and cult films. It was founded back in 2005 by Tom League of Alamo Drafthouse, and is the largest and most prestigious genre festival in the United States, and is one of the top 3 in the world, alongside Siges and Fantasia. So it's been around for about 20 years. Well, the movie premiered there, But the theatrical, right? But with the wider theatrical release, that wasn't until August 29th, where it was released to both the United States and the United Kingdom. It had received positive reviews from critics, and it grossed $3.3 million in the box office. It doesn't say what the budget was, but it just says that. So it was released in 2023. Okay, cool. But the actual release, the theatrical release, the wide theatrical release, wasn't until August 29th of this year, 2025. And it was distributed by Cineverse Iconic Events Releasing. So my question is, why is that? Why be released in 2023, but not shown in theaters until 2 years later, pretty much? I don't understand. The only thing I can think of, and this has happened before with the movie The Saint. So the movie The Saint was in 1997, and it starred Val Kilmer, who is well known for his roles such as the real McCoy, Iceman from Top Gun. He just so happens to be good friends with Kevin Bacon. And Kevin Bacon is well known for his roles, from Footloose. He's also happens to be good friends with Sean Penn, who he had the privilege to work with in Mystic River. So they've known each other. I believe they've done movies together. Believe it or not, Kevin Bacon is in the documentary. I haven't seen it, but I've seen trailers for Val, which is the documentary about Val Kilmer's life. I want to see that documentary so badly, but it's on Amazon, and no, I don't want to. No. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to buy it off DVD or on my phone and have it there. I don't know. But Val Kilmer starred in a movie, The Saint, which is a movie adaptation. And if I'm remembering correctly, because I read this somewhere, I just can't remember where, and I'm hoping I remember it. Like Little Orphan Annie, which was a radio station show, the radio show, like Scooby-Doo and like what was it? There was a whole bunch of radio shows. I know Little Orphan Annie, Sherlock Holmes used to be that too. And they would do like every night, on the dot, things like that. The Saint was a radio. I keep wanting to say radio TV show TV show, but it's not. It's a radio show. This was before TVs came to pay, or before things like that. So in that radio show, Roger Moore, I was about to say Richard Moore, Roger Moore, who's well known for his role as 007 James Bond. And he was one of the original people, the first one, to start the 007 franchise. And then it was Sean Connery, and then another gentleman, I don't know his last name, but I know his name is Timothy, and he is in, I was about to say Dr. Doom, no, Doom Patrol. He played the doctor in the wheelchair. He was also in a Rocketeer playing Neville Sinclair. He was the villain in that one. So he was the third 007, and then Pierce Brosnan, and then Daniel Craig. So Richard Moore, which he does a voice cameo at the end of The Saint on the radio, What's Been Going On. So Val Kilmer did the movie The Saint. He played Simon. And he was a burglar for hire, a thief for hire, and things of that nature. Well, before The Saint was released, they did a critic and audience test. Now, the version of the movie we see now was completely different from what it originally was going to be. So originally, the young lady that Simon falls in love with, the doctor who discovered the formula for cold fusion, was to meet her demise. and she was to meet her demise. That struck Simon a certain way. He goes out to revenge, and there's a scene where the bad guy, there's a fire, and the bad guy's holding up for dear life, and Simon has the complete control of the situation. He can either save the bad guy or not save the bad guy. He chooses not to save the bad guy, and the bad guy dies in a fire explosion and so forth. Believe it or not, audience were not happy with that ending. Neither were the critics. So seeing that people were not happy, they went and redid the execution of that video. Like, they went back to post-production and started to sort out scenes and worked on it there. Then did another audience test, another critic test. And they got more positive reviews in that version than the previous version. So my question is, could that be the reason why it took almost 2 years for that movie, for the Toxic Avenger to come out? Does anyone else know? Because it's interesting, because it's almost like this one movie. It's on YouTube right now. It's called Melvin Smarty. This movie was said to have been released until 2011. It never happened. It had its own YouTube channel. It had some clips from the movie. It had some character vlogs. It even had its own website, which you could hear audio from the radio station called Melvin Smarty, which is the name of the movie. But it's not about him. It's just he's more like a radio show host that you sometimes hear in the film. He gives advice, and it's a weird movie. It's a goofy movie that isn't supposed to be taken seriously, but sometimes the goofiness is a little too much. Basically, it's a Romeo and Juliet story, only Romeo isn't exactly... is most definitely not the kind of person I think even any father would want their daughter to be around. But it's on YouTube. Basically, it was finally released, and I don't know why. It was finally late 2019, early 2020. Again, back in 2011, it was supposed to be released. About, not even 9 years later, it finally gets released. Had a digital release for a little bit, then was finally released on YouTube. You guys are more than welcome to watch it on YouTube. Call Melvin Smarty. Check it out. Honestly, it was a very goofy movie where it was a little too goofy, but it is what it is. So my question is, for the remake of the Toxic Avenger, why was it released 2 years later? Did it have a test just like The Saint, where the audiences saw it at the festival and probably didn't really like it? The critics loved it, but audience members are different, and they had to redo it and took it a bit? Could there have been a problem where they were told, hey, you guys need to do reshoots? We get it. Yes, it was cool at the festival, but to have it reach its to do a wide release in theaters, some things have to be cut out, because believe it or not, Scareface, when it was submitted towards the what was it? It's the film. It's the place where films get rated, and they get graded. Oh yeah, this the requirements for rated G, which are audiences. No, this meets the requirements, or this meets the criteria of what parental guidance is for PG. Oh, this is PG-13 parental guidance under those of 13. Then you got rated R. Explicit content, cannot look without anyone under 17, cannot see it without a parent. And then you have NC, and then you have NC-17, which isn't exactly a good thing because it's practically limited release. And there's something else I know the movie Blonde had an NC-17 and it was on Netflix and it almost could have been shown on Netflix because of that rating. So, like I said, Scarface was submitted several different times to this grading industry, and those 3 times it was NC-17, NC-17, and he's like, hey, you gotta cut that part, you gotta cut. The director finally had enough, went to a former police investigator who worked within cracking down what Scarface was doing, Al Pacino and Scarface was doing, which was dealing with very, very illegal stuff. And the police officer, the former police officer said, yes, this is accurate. If you were to cut that out, it defeats the purpose of what this whole movie is about. I mean, Scarface isn't exactly, Scarface is completely different from Michael Corleone, which Al Pacino also acted in The Godfather. And they basically left it in. Okay, we're going to give it a rated R. Fine, whatever. We'll give it a rated R, but that's it. Okay, cool. So, did something happen? Because it doesn't say. I looked it up. I can't find it. I can, maybe, you know what? Let me double check just to be on the safe side. Because it doesn't say anything of why it took the amount of time that it took. So let's check it out. Maybe we'll learn together. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Okay, it also played at Beyond Fest before having its international debut in the 56th Stagus Film Festival as part of the Out of the Competition section on October 13th, 2023. It had its UK premiere at the Midnight Madness strand of its 70th Edinburgh International Film Festival on August 19th, 2025. And it just says, in July of 2025, it was announced that Cineverse had acquired distributing rights with the plans to release it unrated after initially earning a rated R rating. Theatrical later that year, that same month, the company is scheduled to release it. Yeah, it doesn't really say why it took that long. Yeah, it doesn't say why it took that long. It just says, yeah, there's like a huge thing because it's like, okay, well, what happened in the year 2024? No, that's just it. That's weird. It doesn't say anything else. So, what happened? Yeah, it doesn't say. It just says, like the original, the Toxic Avenger, Texas. The Toxic Avenger isn't for everyone, but viewers seeking an extremely gory and extremely silly good time will not be disappointed. Generally favorable reviews. It scored 65 out of 100 based on 21 critics, and I don't know. Do you guys know? Like, do you guys know something that I don't? I would love to figure out why it took almost 2 years for it to be released. You know, it says after initially, it was unreleased, unrated after initially receiving rated R. What happened? That's the mystery. What happened? I don't know. So it was released in 2023, but it didn't have an official theatrical release until 2 months ago. 2 months ago? No. So nearly 4 months ago. So nearly 4 months ago, that's when it was released. It was released in August. And the trailer started coming out in the summer. That's weird. I don't know. I don't get it. The only thing I could think of was like maybe something similar. Either something similar happened with like Scareface. Like I said, it was submitted 3 times to get a rating so it can be released. And they had to cut parts out. That just said it's extremely gory. So how gory? Well, I haven't seen it yet. So is it as gory or more gory than the Saw films? Than Terrifier? Saw films, I've seen all of them. Terrifier never interests me. I don't know. It just some people like it. I don't know. It never interests me. It is what it is. What can you do? I think I just had enough of the whole killer clown thing. That's about it. I don't know. Yeah, so like I said, the only thing I can think of is if maybe something similar, maybe it had something similar like Scarface with the release there to get rated, or something to do with the Saint. But then again, I don't know. I don't know. If you guys can find something, if you guys have better luck trying to finding something that could blow this mystery, solve this mystery, crack this case wide open, I'm all for it. I don't know. I really don't know. Because that's the only 2 scenarios I can think of. And it doesn't say. Y'all just heard me read from my phone, researching it. It doesn't say. So, either the site that I was using is lying, or, excuse me, or it's just we'll never know. So, Toxic Avenger, what happened? Toxic Avenger, what happened? Or Toxic Avenger 2023 or 2025? What now? Why? I don't know. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think it either something similar happened to it, just like it did with Scarface, or perhaps it wasn't as like something happened and it had to be re-edited. I don't know. Yeah, you guys let me know. What do you guys think? Could it be either one of those 2 scenarios or something else? Let me know.